to Game 3 right now. Our previous match was over in a hurry, so this is no surprise. We're going to try to bring y'all as much magic this round as possible, and we're going to see who takes it down between Lynn, Overturf, Hagen, and Phraner, Fabiano, Tumavitch right now.
Yeah, obviously priorities here on the SCG Tour, getting you folks to see as much magic as humanly possible. Todd, I'm ready for some hyperbolic statements, and tell me what you think about this one.
Ryan Overturf is a legend.
Well, that was intense. That's not where I was going.
Oh.
I was going to pose something to you.
He's not very good.
Okay, it wasn't going there either.
Okay.
I want to ask you.
Direct me, director. I don't know what to say.
Is it a mistake to play non-Arclight Phoenix-based decks in Modern right now? Are you giving up equity by choosing to do so?
I don't think so. I think that a different type of combo deck will actually come along and really punish you for playing Phoenix. I think Phoenix decks in general, perhaps a little too slow in some matchups, and they're not really interactive against the combo decks, right? Like that's why Ironworks was so successful. You know, at SCG Con Winter, we saw Ironworks basically chew through a top 8 littered with Arclight Phoenix, and ultimately took first and second. Was it first and second place? I don't know. I forget. But I know that Arclight Phoenix regularly fell to Ironworks, and now, without Ironworks in the format, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of deck that's similar to Ironworks will pop up and punish these Phoenix decks, because they are so good at playing a fair game. You know, they produce some fast-flying attackers, and if the opponent doesn't have something like Surgical Extraction, Relic of Progenitus, or some other graveyard-related removal spell, you know, a Faithless Looting combined with a few other cheap spells leads to a lot of pressure in a hurry, and those threats can keep coming back. Traditional removal spells like Helix and Lightning Bolt don't really take care of the problem.
Both players leading on Serum Visions here. Fabiano playing a fairly stock take on Grixis Death Shadow, and if you notice some surprise in my voice, that's because Gerard definitely known for some deck building quirks, someone who thinks about the game in a very unique way. I've teamed with Gerard before for a Pro Tour. I've always been impressed by the way he approaches Magic. He doesn't think about the game like anyone else on the planet. He has his own thoughts, his own ideas, and often you see that reflected in his deck building. But I think this particular build of Grixis Death Shadow, nothing super flashy here, just a good solid looking list. See a one of Faithless Looting, so you know that's kind of a contentious point. 2-teamer Battle Rage, single Lightning Bolt. A lot of these numbers look pretty stock to me, Todd.
Oh, absolutely. I think if I had to describe Gerard's deck list, it would actually just be uncommonly stock for Gerard.
Right.
You know, but I think more than anything that actually speaks to the strength of the deck and the archetype in general, that Gerard, a notably kind of wacky-ish deck builder, albeit fundamentally sound and strong deck builder, takes this very stock Death Shadow deck and has piloted it all the way to the top 4 in this team open and could be making his way to the finals.
Right. It's extremely rare that you hand Gerard Fabiano a deck list and he thinks, I can improve on this. In fact, I'd say it almost never happens. But here we see Gerard saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, firing off some classic Grixis Death Shadow. We have a play from Ryan Overturf going to be a Thing in the Ice off the top of the deck, so the Thoughtseize missed that Thing in the Ice. I'm sure Overturf quite pleased with that.
Yeah, very interesting start here from Fabiano. He's playing a Grixis Death Shadow deck, but he's dealt himself very little damage. Thoughtseize here is only a damage source so far. I think that's a nod that, you know, Gerard kept a hand without any fetch lands because he knows that his life total at any point can instantly become in jeopardy thanks to the turning point that those Arclight Phoenixes can produce.
Yeah, not only is Gerard capable of building a unique deck, but he's as equally capable of taking a unique approach to a matchup. And he may just choose to play Grixis Death Shadow very differently
you saw
from
the
every
squint,
other player
right?
in the room.
He actually just squinted right before he played a tapped Blood Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yep, having a little think before committing to a tapped Blood Crypt, but Fabiano has a plan here. Overturf's going to go ahead and cast a Thought Scour.
Yeah, and Overturf is desperately digging for a Faithless Looting to discard those 2 copies of Arclight Phoenix in hand.
Here's a Mishra's Bauble, going to take a peek at the top card of the deck.
Yeah,
has a Thought Scour in hand.
Yeah, a Fetch Land or Thought Scour can reset that. Looks like Ryan likes the top card.
He likes what he's got.
Going to move to the draw.
Passes the turn over to Fabiano, considering his options at the end of Overturf's turn.
Interestingly enough, Fabiano actually has a Thought Scour here. He's thinking if he wants to target Overturf and make him mill that card,
Yep.
that he got to see with the Mishra's Bauble and kept.
Exactly the type of heads-up play I would expect from Gerard. But
oh, no, he chooses to mill
fans
himself.
on it, mills himself. Very interesting. He doesn't know that Overturf has the Thought Scour in hand. He also doesn't know that Overturf has the fetch land that he could have potentially played. So that would be a really hard read from Gerard. And we did see the draw from Overturf. It was Faithless Looting.
Yeah, and that's definitely one he wants to keep. Gerard's hand, I can't quite see it, so I don't want to speculate too much. The only card that I do know for sure, he has one copy of Stubborn Denial in hand.
Yep.
Hasn't applied any pressure. Doesn't have a creature to turn on the Ferocious. Not sure if he has a Surgical Extraction. My gut leans no. I am curious if Overturf just decides to go, all right, land Faithless Looting. Discard the 2 Phoenix and go for it and just hope beyond hope that Fabiano hasn't found one of those surgical extractions to neuter that entire side of his game plan.
Fabiano going to take a run through the graveyard here. Carefully considering options.
Oh, he's putting on his bluffing shoes. He's looking at the graveyard
Right.
viciously.
Wants to give Overturf something to think about. Does he have the surgical extraction? Do I need to be afraid of what he's capable of?
Oh, this is super smart. He can take that Faithless Looting here
Right.
and force Overturf to actually use the flashback mode. And if Overturf doesn't play the land first, can get that snipped by a Stubborn Denial.
Yeah, let's see if Overturf's going to walk into the trap. We also need to see what Gerard's going to take here. I would assume it's the Faithless Looting. It is.
All busted turns from Faithless Looting decks start with, you guessed it, Faithless Looting.
Who knew?
Make them pay 3.
Who knew? Gerard with the first form of aggression in this match. It's a Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, I think Overturf here is not sure if he wants to cast Thought Scour or not. Needs to save it sometimes to chain off all those instants and sorceries together.
Found a Manamorphose off the top. That means there are some shenanigans he could get up to as far as getting 3 spells this turn and casting the Faithless Looting.
Yep.
That would involve Gerard not casting that Stubborn Denial, though.
All right, so looks like Ryan is going to play around that Stubborn Denial. He's going to go ahead and fetch an island. My guess is going to start with a Manamorphose, and then that's going to allow him to flashback Faithless Looting. And then Gerard has a tough decision. If he uses Stubborn Denial, our Overturf can pay the 1. He still gets to discard the 2 Phoenixes, but can effectively no longer cast 3 instant sorcery on the same turn since he's already made that land drop. Needs to hit like another Manamorphose here would help him do it, as well as something like a Gut Shot or his own Surgical Extraction.
Going to be a really tough decision for Gerard what he wants to do with that Stubborn Denial if he wants to deploy it at any part in this spell chain.
Yeah, I mean, targeting the Manamorphose here would definitely put Overturf to the test, but I'm not sure that it's the right play. I think he just needs to wait on the Faithless Looting itself to really put Overturf to the test.
But you see Gerard going for a fetch land, going to go grab something. We'll see. We do have a result from our standard match. Jacob Hagen takes the match 2-1 over Bant Tokens and Matt Tumavitch, giving the team of Lynn, Overturf, and Hagen a leg up in the matchup.
All right, well, one thing I didn't take into consideration here is that Fabiano could actually have Dispel in hand. A single copy of Dispel here could knock out... oh, no, he doesn't have Dispel. My apologies. That's a disdainful stroke in the sideboard.
So it is going to be the Stubborn Denial if Gerard's going to interact. And he seems to think the time is now, having fetched.
Yeah, you may look at this and you may think, okay, well, Overturf can just pay 1 mana. Well, there's a chance that Gerard is just trying to effectively stall out the chain as long as possible.
Right.
But it doesn't make a ton of sense to me specifically because he's going to draw off the Manamorphose.
And drew a Manamorphose.
Wow. Okay. Well, he had the Thought Scour anyway.
Yep.
But mostly he can still flashback the Faithless Looting.
And there it is. Faithless Looting, flashback. Draws
he found
2.
a Surgical Extraction too, and that can help him play around a Surgical Extraction from Gerard Fabiano.
Perfect draws from Overturf there. And here come the birds. Gerard falling to 7, now at a suddenly precarious life total. Going to go ahead and untap, take a draw. Only a few cards in Gerard's hand. What are the options here?
Yeah, the Ferocious on Stubborn Denial is so strong. But without it, if your opponent just hits their land drops, it just looks so demoralizing in the spot. And Gerard's going to need a lot of help off the top of his deck to get out of this.
Here's the Serum Vision's going to get to manipulate the top of his deck a bit, taking a look at those top 2 cards, figuring out if they're going to go on the top or the bottom. Looks like both are going to the bottom. Not a great sign for Gerard. I see another Stubborn Denial in hand. No, it's a Thought Scour. Going to go ahead and put the top 2 into the graveyard. Draw 1. I think the draw was a land.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the deck list here, and I don't really see a good way out here for Gerard Fabiano. His primary means of interacting with Arclight Phoenix is Surgical Extraction.
Yeah.
There are no copies of Anger of the Gods here, a common sideboard card for a lot of these Grixis Death Shadow decks. Gerard opting for a much stronger anti-control plane with things like Jace the Mind Sculptor, Disdainful Stroke, even Kolaghan's Command.
Here's a land from Fabiano. That's it for the turn. Going to ship it back to Overturf. Overturf considering options right now. Going to go ahead and fetch. Fall to 11.
We're thinning the deck here a little bit. Just going to fetch up a mountain, protecting the life total as much as possible. And I believe Overturf.
Here's a Traverse the Uvenwald.
Going to use that with Delirium. We're going to fetch up a lethal Arclight Phoenix. Let's see if Gerard has any response to this.
I saw one Thoughtseize. I didn't quite catch the other card. This may be the death knell for Gerard. Here's the 3rd copy of Arclight Phoenix. Is that going to be enough for Overturf?
He's going to play
this. Going to cast it.
4 mana, 3/2 Flying Haste. He's going to attack for 9. Gerard's going to need a removal spell.
Here come the birds. That's it for Overturf.
And that's going to put fellow commentator Ryan Overturf and his teammates Liz, Lynn, and Jacob Hagen into the finals here at SCG Baltimore.
What a performance from the team of Lynn, Overturf, and Hagen. Moving on to the finals. There we saw, Todd, the Traverse the Ulvenwald grabbing the lethal threat. We were just here